Hello there, welcome. Welcome back to an art project. If you don't know who I am, you should by now, but if you don't, my name is Mr. Paul. I'm a visual artist here in Oklahoma, and I'm also an art teacher. And so I guess you're here to maybe do an art project, maybe learn some things, and especially have some fun. But before we get into anything, I want to know, does everybody have their electricity, right? Last week was terrible. We had, as you well know, we had a major ice storm and everything went crazy. So my point is that I hope that everybody's got electricity, everybody's well, and in a good mood and creative. You're here for an art project, so let's get right to it. As you may know, if you've seen my classes before, I usually have an art project that's kind of based on something. And today it's based on a term, generosity. Does anybody know what that means? Anybody? Anybody out there know what that means? When you're generous to somebody, what does that mean, right? And the art project is going to talk about, and we're going to draw and do an art project that addresses, that talks about generosity. So let's get this over with first so we can get into the actual art project. But make sure you got your materials, pencils, regular paper, markers, colored pencils, things like that, and we will get started. All right, let's define what being generous means. It means that you're not selfish, right? It means that it's easy for you to be a giving person, a sharing person. It's something that we like in others, right? Don't you like the idea that people, are nice to you and give you things and help you along? They not only give you things, but they give you their time, maybe helping with your homework and stuff. That's, I think everybody likes that. And so how I see it is that if you want people to be that way to you, you got to kind of be that way to them, right? And so I think it's hard sometimes to be generous, especially if you don't really have a lot. But if you do, it should be a lot easier, right? And so today our project is going to be about what we are generous with, right? What do we give? What's easy for us to give? I know that people that have a lot of money, it's easy for them to give money. I know people that don't have very much money, but boy, they're there to help you out and lend you a hand and give you their time. I saw that all last week with all of the ice destruction that was in town. I saw neighbor helping neighbor. They were in a bind. They had like big trees laying over in their yard and stuff like that. And I saw neighbors. I helped my neighbor out a little bit. And so, again, sometimes it's hard to give, but I think it should be our aim. It should be something that we want to do, because I'll tell you what, and this is important, if you want people to be good to you and generous to you, then you've got to be able to what I call reciprocate. And reciprocate basically means that you give back, right? Somebody helps you out with something. Maybe you need an extra $1 to buy that video game. You don't have it, so your brother gives it to you, or your sister gives it to you. It wasn't that they had to do it. They did it because they knew it was important to you. So if you want people to be that way, then you have to be that way too, right? And so I think that with this art project, I want you to think of something that you can, first of all, draw. Something that maybe is easy for you to give, right? Now, I drew something kind of silly. I drew a big piece of cake, right? And to me, that kind of represented, giving to people, right? If I have a giant cake, I'm going to split it up and offer it to my friends. I don't have a problem with that. If I have a little piece of cake, maybe, just maybe, I'll say, do you want a bite of this cake? Right? So there's little giving and big giving. I just think it's a good thing. It's a mark of a good, caring person to be a generous person. Now, the art project, again, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to draw something that represents to you something that you give people, because they're friends. I know that when I was working in schools and stuff like that, I had kids that would buy up a bunch of candy, how they sell candy in the schools, and instead of sitting there eating it by themselves, they would just hand it out to their friends, because that's what friends do. So think of an image, think of a picture that represents something that you can be generous with. And that should be real easy. Things are easy to give. I think one of the most important things to me are people that will give you their time. I need you to help me do this or this, or I've lost my dog and I'm running around the neighborhood and I can't find it. Would you please help me? And people go, sure, yeah, I'm going to do that. I have dogs. I know how it would feel if my dog was lost. So they jump in and help you. So come up with a basic idea of what you can draw that represents being generous. Okay? Now, again, you don't have to write the word down, but if you want to, that's cool. But I want you to fill up the page, right? And I want you to make it colorful and represent the things, at least one thing. Hey, you may give many different kinds of things, but just choose one and make it really, really large on this page, okay? So I think it's also kind of interesting that when I was little, when I was real little, I gave to everybody. And then I went through this period of time where, because my folks didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, I became a little bit more selfish, And, I'm like, well, if I give you half of my candy, it's like, I'm not going to have any more candy, right? And I get that. But as I got a little older, I realized that if I wanted people to be generous to me, I had to be that way too. And it's something that I learned through time. And so I bet you that 99% of the people that are listening to me right now, they're generous. They may not be real generous, but they know when somebody wants something or needs something or they need your help, and you give it. And that's always a very, very cool thing. I know that when I've done this project before when I was in schools, I would always have somebody that would go, no, why should I give that to them? They wouldn't give it to me. Or, no, I just don't like to do stuff like that because I may not ever have this again. Or I'm too busy. I can't do this because I've got things to do. Because, basically they're saying, well, I'm more important than you are. And I think that's sad because as you get older, you're going to realize that what you give, you'll get in return. What you offer the world, what you offer the people around you, they are in turn going to give that back to you someday. And I tell you what, the world is a crazy place, And we've talked about that before. There's a lot of really, really good people, and there's some bad people out there too. But I think that overall, I think people are good, and that if you want to surround yourself with good people, especially when you get older and you move away out of your parents' house and stuff. I know you're young. I get that. That's not going to happen for a long time. But guess what? I used to be your age and now I'm old, right? So you're going to be in my place one of these days, whether you like it or not. And I've just found that the more people I can be honest, decent, and generous with, people will seek me out. People will see, if they know you're a good person and you're a generous person, they will seek you out. They will want to be good friends with you because that's what everybody wants in their life, right? So I think that besides drawing, let's get back to the art project again, besides drawing this piece, whatever it is, I want you to, again, draw it as large as you possibly can. I don't want to, if you're going to draw a cake, don't draw a little tiny cake over here. Fill up the page. The composition of the page, a composition of the artwork. Composition means how you place things, how you set things up on your page. You can do it like me, because you're only going to be doing one thing. You can put it directly in the center. That's a balanced kind of a thing. If you want to put it over to the side, that's okay. What I want you to do is I kind of really want you to consciously decide where you're going to put this. Just don't start drawing anywhere. Think, okay, if I'm only going to do one piece, I think I'm going to do it directly on the front, right in the center. Composition is kind of an interesting thing, and maybe in other classes we're going to really get involved in what that means. Composing a visual art piece. Let me think, what am I thinking? Oh yes, by the way, I want you to choose a color scheme, meaning don't go with rainbows. Try to choose maybe 3 or 4 colors and strictly do everything in 3 or 4 colors, kind of like what I did. They're all kind of, there's a sameness of quality of color. I think that'd be just something different to do, is to, instead of just using all the colors, make them just 2 or 3 colors. So anyway, we'll be right back and get started. If you haven't got your art materials yet, go for them, and I'll be right back.